man? Yo, it's your boy King Dave here, and this is the Felon Show. Hope all is going well with you out there. So today, man, we're gonna do a little first, man. I'm gonna sort of speak a little bit about myself, man, about you know, who I am, sort of how I got into all of this, man. Like, I'll do this over time. But yeah, man, I thought I'd sort of get the ball rolling, man, and yeah, man, speak a little bit about myself, man, before this whole podcast thing. So yeah, man, I came from well, I was born here in New Zealand, man, but I moved to Oz. I moved over to Australia as a teenager. So I'm a deportee. I was deported from Australia. I served like 3 prison sentences over there. The last I served 4 years and a bit in a couple months. And they sent me back over here, man, back across the ditch. So yeah, man, during my time in prison over in Melbourne, I was a gang member as well, man. So I was a member of a prison gang over there, co-founder. So me and a group of my friends that I knew from the streets and that. And we formed a prison gang when we were in there. I'm not with that anymore though, you know, so I've left all of that behind. Don't get me wrong though, I still speak to a lot of the boys. I still, you know, write letters to my peoples in jail. Still help them out where I can here and there. You know, yeah, I still got a lot of mates now in that life, man. I got mates in prison here in New Zealand. Got mates who are on the run, man. So yeah, man, I still, you know, converse in that with people still in that life and that. But for me, myself, you know, I keep far away from those things now. I gave my life to God as well, man. So I'm a man of the Lord. But that's my history, you know, that's sort of where I came from and that. So as time goes on, man, I'll speak on different things about myself, prison, even questions that y'all might have for me, man, to answer. But I thought I'd just start with this. But today's episode, man, so I'm going to start a series, man. So I'm going to be talking about different long-term management units that I was in Melbourne. So for those that don't know, long-term management in Melbourne is pretty much SUPERMAX. So that's solitary confinement, man, high security. So me, myself, so there's a few different SUPERMAX units across Melbourne. I've been to almost all of them. So I'll be speaking on that, man, just to start us off. So the long-term management is basically, you know, 22-hour lockdown, 23-hour lockdown. You get let out in you get an hour out of your cell by yourself, depending, you know. So again, I'll be going into all of this, man, to sort of explain it and give the rundown. But to start us off, man, I'm going to be starting with Acacia unit. So Acacia unit is at Barwon. It is, it's a well-known, well, so the thing is with long-term management and, you know, like SUPERMAX, so these are like considered the highest security units in the state, you know, so in the state of Victoria. So like, as far as, so these are basically the end of the line, you know, so if you're messing up in jail and that bad, these are the places that you will go to. So again, I've been through most of them. You know, the truth is the majority of prisoners though are in Victoria. Most of them won't see units like this. You know, most keep out of trouble, go to, you know, they'll be lucky to see one of these units, you know, over the course of their time. But, you know, like I know guys that's done 10, 20 years that haven't seen these units, you know, or only seen like one and they weren't even there that long, you know. So these are for what the state would consider the worst of the worst. So yeah, so Acacia unit. So Acacia unit's one of the more well-known management units in Victoria. So we call it the slot as well, or the hole. So it's called the slot. So Acacia unit's one of the more well-known ones because that's where Carl Williams was killed. I didn't know Carl Williams. That was before my time of going to prison. I knew his killer though. so we knew each other. We weren't mates or nothing, but we knew of each other in there. But yeah, so Acacia unit, man. So when I rocked up to Acacia unit, so we were in a riot. So we had a riot with the screws at Fulham. Whole bunch of officers got put in hospital. And then from there we got shipped out to Barwon. So they shipped us out, you know, fucking late as at night, man. There was like fucking, like it looked like 100 screws had come to escort us. They shackled us up, man, with the body belt, man, attached the shackles to the body belt, man. That was my first time doing all that. And then they shipped us off to Barwon. So originally I went to Melaleuca unit, which is the other another management unit at Barwon. So again, there's a few at Barwon. And then from Melaleuca, I got moved to Acacia with my co-offender. So he was involved in the riot as well. So we went to Acacia unit, man. So you get on the bus. They cuffed us up. So they've got buses that transport you between the management units at Barwon as well. So they chucked us on the bus from Melaleuca. So I'll be doing an episode on Melaleuca. I'll be doing an episode on all these individual units, man, sort of giving the rundown and that. But yeah, so they chucked us up. They fucking they shackled us up, chucked us on the bus, said that we were going to Acacia. We went there. I was on the bus, you know, fucking had the cuffs on and shit. I'm like fucking carving my name into the fucking steel grate there, you know, because I used to hit up Irks back then. So in prison and that's what I was known as. Most boys in there knew me as Irks. They didn't know me as David. So yeah, man, I was carving my name in that steel grate there, which is still there to this day. You know, the boys were telling me. And yeah, so they chucked us off the bus. And we walked into Acacia unit, man, and I remember when I walked in there, so there's like this long corridor, there's like a gate that opened the gate, and there's like a metal detector and all of that. You gotta walk through all of there. They give you red clothes. So in Melbourne and in Australia, the prison colours is green, but in the high security they give you red. But at Barwon anyway, so Barwon they give you red trackies. And at Port Phillip and Charlotte, they give you grey trackies. So that's sort of to separate you from the normal prison population. So fucking walk through there, man. I remember because when I got to Acacia and that, I was like, fuck, I've made it. You know, I was 20 years old. And I was just walking through there and I was like, fuck yeah. Because I had heard of this place, you know, on the news on the outside, you know, like this is where Carl Williams got knocked, you know. So I was like, fuck, I've made it, you know, I fucking cracked the big time. I'm with the big boys now. So yeah, now you walk through that gate, there's like, you walk through another door and then basically you're in Acacia. So Acacia unit is actually made up of 4 different units. So they call it Acacia unit, but it's made up of 4 different wings or units. So when you walk through that door into Acacia, to the right is Unit 4. So that's the LOP's unit. So that's loss of privileges. So I'll go in and explain all of this later as time goes on. But you've got Unit 4 to the right there, which is like the shittest part of it. And then you walk to the left there. You keep walking, you've got Unit 1. And then you walk to the right through the store and then that's Unit 2. And that's the unit I went to. So we walked into Unit 2. I think 8 cells, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, there's 8 cells. 9 including the observation cell. So there's the obso cell there as well, where people get brought in if they're under observation. So there's cameras and that in there. So we walk in the unit. The unit is like around... So there's a yard in the middle of the unit. And it's enclosed in glass. Or protective glass, or that tough glass, I don't know what it's called. But yeah, and then there's actually a gym in there. So you walk in, I was walking in, I see the gym. So I'm like, oh yeah, shit, there's a gym, you know, because I had just come from Melaleuca LOP's loss of privileges. So, you know, for the last over a month, you know, I hadn't no TV, just real shit conditions, man. So when I saw the gym, I was like, all right, that looks good. To the right is the phone box where you get to use the phone. And then on the right is actually another yard as well. So there's like a little, about the size of a little basketball court. And that's another yard that you can run out in by yourself. So we're walking in, man, the unit's dead quiet, eh? So I thought there was no one in there. So but in the cells as well are surrounded by another cage. So there's like a cage, they open that, and then they walk you to your cell door and then open that. And yeah, man, that was when I got to Acacia. So how it works there, man, you get 45 minutes out of your cell in that gym cage in the middle. So they walk you into there, you get 45 minutes in there by yourself. And then later on, like an hour or two, they'll actually let you out again for another 45 minutes in that bigger yard. And there's like a boxing bag in there and that. You can hit the bag and all of that. So, yeah, man, that, like, at the time, like, thinking back now, it's shit, it's shit in there, but, at the time, because I was used to jail of that mindset, so I was like, all right, I'm here now, so I'll just do my time here. So some other boys I was in there with, so my co-offender was there as well. So even though it is solitary, you can still speak to each other through the door. You can still yell out and do all of that. So I was there with there was actually a Lebanese family there. So in Melbourne, you've got like Lebanese families that are like in together and that. So I was there with the Tibas. So there was like a dad there, his sons, his brothers, the dad's brothers and all of that. So they were there. There was like 4 of them. There was another bloke, Lebanese fella, in on terrorist charges. They tried to blow up like some army base or something like that. I forgot his name off the top of my head, but good fella though, good fella, Muslim fella. So because what you get in those sort of units, so especially there in Acacia, what you get in long-term management is you get like a lot of Muslims in there, but in on terrorist charges. Because in Melbourne, they started like arresting a whole bunch of people on allegations of terrorism and that. So these guys weren't actual terrorists, but they got done on accusations of, conspiracy to commit terrorist acts. So you get a lot of them in there. But the thing with them is because they can't go to mainstream, because those sort of charges are sort of frowned upon, like terrorist charges and that, because especially if kids were going to get hurt in those explosions or whatever, then, the mainstream prison population sort of frowns on that sort of stuff, eh? But this dude was not too bad, this Muslim fella. Ex-kickboxer and that, he was all good. Yeah, there was actually, so my other next door neighbor there was a boneyarder. So what you get in long-term management as well in SUPERMAX is you actually get mainstream mixed. So boneyard, so boneyard in Australia means protection. So it means protective custody. So in long-term management units, they actually mix that. So they put mainstream and boneyard, because a lot of people go there for their own protection as well. Or they go there and they're from the boneyard and they've just like committed they've stabbed people or done some bad stuff in the boneyard. So they get put there as well because it's solitary, so you can't really get to them. So my other next door neighbor, he was in the boneyard. Didn't really talk to him much, but yeah. Then there was another Aussie fella there as well. He was actually no good as well, so he was a dog too, or what they would consider a dog. So he had been stabbed in prison. I found this out later on. I didn't know at the time, but he had been stabbed at Port Phillip, and he was turning Crown's witness on the people that stabbed him. So, and I knew the stabbers as well. That's how I ended up finding out. But yeah, so that I was there with them. So yeah, man, like I said, you get 45 minutes out in the gym there. In Unit 1, which is across the way there, you can actually speak through that gym yard, because in that gym yard where the glass is enclosed, there's like a brick wall, but on the other side of that brick wall is the yard for Unit 1. So my mate, one of the bros, ended up giving me the heads up because I was speaking up to him through the gate and that, and he was telling me, he was like, "Oh yeah, bro, don't talk to those other people in your unit, bro. Don't talk to them, because they're no good." If you're there long enough, you can actually mix with other prisoners. You can put in to go for a run out, and you can like run out in that small yard with one other person. So if you're there long enough. So yeah, man, that was me there in Acacia unit 2 there. Yeah, man, like I said, man, it's tough in there, you know what I mean? But it's just you just gotta do your thing, man. You can't really cry about it. Some other boys, there was actually 10 cells. Sorry, there's 10 cells in that unit. Yeah, so there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so there's 6 cells. There's 6 cells, and then yeah, 4 cells. So there's 10 cells all up. Sorry, in that unit. So that's the biggest unit in Acacia. So unit 1 and unit 3 is a lot smaller, only a couple cells. But yeah, unit 2 has 10 cells there. So yeah, man. Some other boys I was there with Eddie, Black Eddie. So another well-known name in Victorian prison system, especially in management in the slot. So this dude, he was from Sydney. But this dude was like, I'd known him fucking from when I first went to prison back at MRC. Even later on, me and him were quite tight. Just a bloke that doesn't give a fuck, eh? Just didn't give a shit, man. Fucking always going on with the screws, man. Always punching on. Always bronzing up, man. So he was actually in that observation cell because they just couldn't handle him. They used to put him in a straight jacket. Like when you're in management, if they put you in that straight jacket, like that's for like the worst of the worst. So every day they were putting him in the straight jacket, but he would always break out because he had booted all these razor blades and stuff. So booted is to put it in your behind. So that's where you hide stuff in jail. So he would always be able to cut out of them, and he knew how to pick the locks as well of the cuffs. And he would always get out of the jacket and shit, and then he'll start. He used to do all sorts of shit, and he used to slash up and write on the walls, and he used to bronze up, man, so that's when you shit and, you chuck it everywhere and chuck it at the screws, man. So this is real boob head stuff, man. So when you look at like real jailbird cunts, like that's the sort of shit they do, man. I've seen dudes shit in their own hand and throw it at the screws. You know what I mean? Like that's the sort of people because these dudes are just guys that have done so much jail, they've just fucking done all this jail. And they just don't give a fuck. Yeah, man, that's unit 2 there. I've also been to unit 4 there. So like I said, when you walk into Acacia, when you turn to the right there's unit 4, and that is the LOP, so that's the loss of privileges. So there's 4 cells down there. So basically what happens, how it works in Melbourne is, so you've got management, you've got the slot. So most people that do go to the slot don't go there for long. They only go there for about 2 weeks, and then they leave back out the back, back to mainstream, back to the yard. And so, but when you go to so when you go to the slot, basically it's shit, when you first get there, because you'll have loss of privileges, So if you're going there for only 2 weeks, you'll stay in loss of privileges and then leave. So so basically, there's unit 4 there. In Acacia, you've got unit 4 in Melaleuca as well, which is loss of privileges, and then you've got the spine at Port Phillip Charlotte unit, which is loss of privileges. So basically you stay on loss of privileges for 28 days. Some stay way longer though, but basically how it works is you'll stay on LOPs for 28 days, and then you'll get moved, and then you'll get either cleared back to the yard, or you'll get put on long-term management. So that's when you're going to stay down there for a while. So usually that only happens if it's a serious offense, or if you're known as like a serious offender, or say if you're in there on a stabbing or something and you're facing outside charges, you'll be kept there until until basically until your court stuff's over with, you know what I mean? So that could take a while. So yeah, so because I was there on a ride and that, and we were facing outside charges. So yeah, so we were basically gonna be there for a while. So like over a year. So yeah, so when you go to so yeah, when you mess up or something like that, you get put on LOPs for 28 days, and then from there, so say in Acacia you've got Unit 4 there, LOPs, then from there you'll get moved to, you know, Unit 1, Unit 2, or Unit 3 in Acacia, which is a bit better, you know, because you've got a TV there in there. You can get canteen, you can buy a stereo, you know, you can do all of that stuff. You can buy certain things depending on the time that you're going to be there. I ended up, so this was later on, I ended up coming back to Acacia. So I was in Melaleuca again, and then I ended up messing up, I fucked up in that. And then I moved back to Acacia, and they put me in Unit 4 there. So loss of privileges. So I went back there, man. So basically when you walk in there, so you walk in, there's an airlock and there's a shower there. So what happens is you walk in, they open the cell door, you walk into the airlock to the right or to the left, depending on what cell you're in. I was in the middle cell. There's a shower there, and then there's another airlock, like a glass door and glass, so you can see in the cell, so you can't, you know, so you can see in the cell, and then they open that door, you walk through, and then they close that, and then that's your cell. So so you get the shower like once a day. So what they'll do is they'll open that door where your cell is and close that other door, and then you can just walk in to use the shower. But one shower is used by 2 cells, you know, so the cells are lined up there, and then there's like a shower in between, and then one person will use it, then the other person will use it. But yeah, man, so when you walk into the cell, there's cameras in there as well. You go into the cell, and then there's another door at the other end of the cell. So you got your bed, you got your desk there, steel toilet and that sink, and then there's another door, and then you know, for an hour a day they'll open that door, and then you can use, so there's like a little concrete yard at the back like this, and you can go out there for like an hour a day. So fuck, man, like when you're in jail, man, when you're there and that, it's like, fuck, this is what it is, you know what I mean? Like you just don't think about it much, but I mean, thinking about it now, man, fuck that shit, you know what I mean? Fuck going to places like that, you know, like those sort of places, man, they mess with your head bad, I swear. But anyway, yeah, man, and then there was summer as well, so fucking, bro, it's like Aussie summers, you know, like fucking, it's like 50 degrees in the cell plus, so like you're just sweating fucking all day long, you know, just dripping sweat all day long. It's like living in an oven pretty much. And yeah, it's messed up, man. And so you gotta, so yeah, you get your, an hour out of your cell each day into that little back run out yard. Yeah, I was there with some boys, and I was there with this Iraqi dude, Marogi. I was there with this other Aussie fella, and I was there with one of the Usos as well, Filippo. So man, at this time, man, the Uso, fuck, he was like my Uso that was there, he had been down there for a year in that little LOP section, so that's a long time to be down there. Because he was just going on with it every single day. Every single day, this dude was punching on with the screws over anything, over everything and anything. Even if he just thought the screws were looking at him wrong, he'll crack it off straight away with them. A bit mentally unstable as well, if I'm being straight, you know, he's a bit mentally unstable. So that was the messed up thing as well, you know, like a lot of boys that's down there that are violent people and that, these are mentally unstable people, like they shouldn't even be down there, you know, they should be in a hospital. But that's the system, you know, that's what the system does. But yeah, nah, so he was down there, man, going on with it all the time, man. So it got a little bit noisy down there, man. The screws, they gas you down there as well if you go on with them, man. They come in, man, they even come in with little stun grenades and shit. Yeah, man, that's pretty much Acacia unit, man. So I was there for a bit in Unit 4, and then I ended up getting shipped over to Port Phillip to Charlotte unit, which I'll do an episode on that as well. So yeah, man, that's it, man. That's my little yarn on Acacia unit. You know, I'll talk about different things as time goes on. What I can speak about anyway, you know, I can't just speak on everything, you know. Even though I'm not part of their life anymore, you know, there is still a code, man. There's still things you can talk about and you can't talk about. But I'll share what I can. I'll share what I can. Even about myself and, you know, the gang stuff that I was involved in. Again, I can't say a lot, but especially because I'm not with that anymore. You know, I've sort of moved on from that sort of stuff. So, but yeah, man, I'll give you guys a little breakdown, a little taste of prison life and fucking how shit it can be, you know, how shit it can get in there. But yeah, man, anyway, this is your boy King Dave signing off, and yeah, man, peace.